white. You see that color? I'm attracted to that color. I like that. It looks like electric. My nose is itching. Got a little spicy in there. A little spicy. Okay, so welcome to Milk Honey Rose. I'm Mystic Alchemy for those who don't know me. Hello. How was your day? In the neighborhood. And wherever hood you from. Okay, so I wrote a note to myself because I was thinking about this earlier. I feel like I need to do some breath work or something. I don't know why I felt like a little out of breath for a moment. Maybe it's this nose running away from me. Hold on, I gotta get ready. No, I gotta do it again. Hold on. Okay. I think that's better. That's better. Y'all should do it too. It's good. It's just good. Okay? So I was thinking about if the future was erased. And how, I didn't mean to put future. I meant the past, but I wrote the future. If the future was erased, hold up now. That's not what I meant to say. I didn't realize I did it until I said it. I didn't realize I put future. I meant past. If the past was erased. And then I started thinking about how if the past is erased, then it would be much more challenging to prevent history repeating itself, right? Because reflecting helps you to know what is what. It's like you have something to pull from. I don't know why I just heard the word reservoir. I gotta look that up real quick just to get some details about reservoir. Let me see. Reservoir. A large natural or artificial lake used as a source of water supply. A reservoir. So Spirit just said reservoir to me as I was thinking about our history, right? So if our history was erased, we wouldn't have a reservoir of knowledge from the past, which is a source of our natural supply. Because you see the reservoir is the source of water supply. So our history is a source of our natural supply. Because that's our nature. Our history is our nature. And yes, we can like align with our nature when we get in tune with self, but it's so much easier and so much time is what's the word I want to use? So much time is conserved when we have the information already from history. But if it's erased, there's so much more work that we have to do because we have to go through so many more trials and errors because we don't have the reservoir of our history, which is our natural what I call it, natural source of information. Conserve means to protect something, especially environmentally or culturally. It's a perfect word for this moment, because I said conserve the information, to conserve history. Culturally important place or thing from harm or destruction. So protect something, especially an environmentally or culturally important place or thing from harm or destruction. That's conserve is also a part of the word conservation. And conservation is like land that is reserved or conserved. Wait a minute, let me look up conservation just to see what the definition shows here. Prevention of wasteful use of a resource. Oh, my nose is like really itching right now. So conservation is like a resource that is of value to the people. So they protect it and they make sure that it's okay and it stays intact. Like, say for instance, when you travel to different places in the world and they have like historical land where historical events took place, and you can go back to those places and just really get in tune with the aura that your ancestry or ancestral lineage has left behind, seeing where they stood, where they stepped, where they walked, where they went, like what happened. You hear the story and you stand in right where it happened. That's a land that is considered a conservation. Okay, now back to the main topic. I just had to highlight those points right there real quick. Now, I was thinking about how if history is erased, then we can't go back and check what our ancestors have done and the mistakes they made and the improvements that they made. Just everything from the beginning to the end, no matter if it's good or bad or unfavorable or it worked out very well, If we don't know, we have to figure it out all over again. It takes so much more time like that, right? Yes. Okay. Then I started thinking about how there's something called retrospective. It's a ceremony that takes place in software development, right? And it's when the dev team together, they backtrack and go over everything that happened, what went wrong, why did it go wrong, what could we have done better, what went right, why do we think it went right, and how can we make it better. Let's always look at how we can make it better. You also look at what was unnecessary, like what could have been subtracted from the equation. Like, you look at the whole. A retrospective, when I think of retro, I think of old school, like before the past. I think about the past when I think about retro. I even think about classic, the word classic, when I think about retro, because I start thinking about like music that they consider retro, or like sneakers, because there's sneakerheads that talk about certain sneaker types that are considered retro. So that's like the past, like classics, right? And then spective, I'd start thinking about spectacles, like glasses, like you see clearly, because when you have glasses, or a magnifying glass, it helps you to see something better than without, right? Right. So I just wanted to use those two examples because they came to mind. And so this is basically what I want to talk about and why it's so important for us to remember our history as a whole. So, not what we were taught in school, but what we were not taught. So it's important for us to go back and do research about what we were not taught in school, because that will fill so many gaps that have been gaps since we were children because they were never there. It was a void, and we didn't even know where to look or where to start because we didn't even have the opportunity to know. Some people may have, dependent on how they grew up, who raised them, and what their parents knew and what was going on in their environment. Some people were in different environments, so they learned differently. But for those, which are many, who just learned from the public school system, there's so much of history that we never learned on our own. So it is up to us to go look for it before it's erased. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just thought about something. Could AI erase the history? I think it's possible. I don't know why I'm laughing, but it just came to mind. Like, what if AI just decided to erase all of the history that doesn't consist of what is their narrative, like the narrative of those who began or started the narrative, or who were the authors of the narrative that we all know well, which we have come to find is not valid. But what if just tap a button and everything that consists of your natural way of being and your history, it was just gone in a moment, just by a push of a button, and you coach AI to do it and it just disappears? Because think about that. You could coach it to do everything else. That would probably be easy. You know? It's just a thought. And this is just me wanting you to see a little differently when it comes to your history, your lineage, and your culture, like who you truly are. Because when you get in tune with yourself, you'll begin to pick up on certain things, because spirit will begin to teach you. Your ancestors, the more you hear them and the more you listen, they'll teach you on their own. But that takes time to even get to that point to be able to do that. So at least if you have the knowledge through other means of educating yourself and acknowledging your history, then at least your history cannot be forgotten. And it's kind of making me think about oblivious and oblivion, as I spoke about yesterday. Because that means something that is forgotten, you know. So this is what we don't want to happen. So it's up to us to educate ourselves, to then tell our children, and and just have discussions, like regular discussions about these things, just because it is what it is, and it's right now, and it's time. It's time. That's why I kept hearing for the past year and a half, Spirit kept saying, it's time now. It's time now. And it's like I felt like I had a little hint of what they meant, but I wasn't really sure. I was like, time for what exactly? And it's almost like they went silent after that. It's kind of like one of those things where I can't just tell you, you have to see. You know, I can't just give you all of this in that way. The only way is through day by day, and things will begin to be revealed to you, and you will see. And I think it's just more beneficial for you to take in information in such a way where you see on your own, because if somebody tells you everything, you might not hold on to it so much. You might not retain it that well because you didn't go through the understanding yourself in your own way. But when you take yourself down that pathway of a desire to want to know, and it brings me to that phrase, what you seek you shall find, or if you seek you will find, or however that goes, you know what I'm talking about. there is treasure there. There's value there because you're doing it yourself. It's like hands on, mind on, thoughts on, psyche activated, right? Your soul is activated when you are you using your will to get acquainted with your natural way of being and your history. It's more likely that you'll retain the information and you'll be able to assimilate it easily into your subconscious because you're doing it yourself. You're actively searching. You have a desire. You want to know. That's the way it flows. I heard that's the way love goes. Okay. So this is a short message, but that's really all I wanted to say. Because just imagine if your history was forgotten and it just goes away just like that. And I mean, we've seen an example of it already. Much of the history that about our inventors and the true nature of our history and who our people really were, that information it wasn't easily accessible when we were younger. We didn't get the full picture. We only got half the story. And then the half was partial. It wasn't even the whole thing. Even the half was wrong. Even the half was flawed. So what do we really have, right? We got half the story, but then the half was flawed. So if the half was flawed, it's very likely that the half of the half, the quarter, what is that then? That's just toxic. Because that's only a little bit, and that still ain't right. You see? So that goes to show that we were actually taught lies. We were taught information that was incorrect. It wasn't the whole story. It's like you have two friends and they got into a fight and one had a busted lip and one had a black eye, and then you're the mediator, like, what happened to y'all? I was just here an hour ago and I come back and y'all lumped up. What happened? One person say their story and their story is so perfect to accommodate them and they don't say they did anything wrong. And the same goes for your other friend. But you see that they both lumped up. How you know the truth? You don't have no cameras. There was no witnesses. All you know is they was lumped up. All you could do is look at them both and say, whatever y'all did, don't do it again. Okay? Because that's what it comes down to. I don't know. I don't know what happened in here. Y'all both saying stuff. Clearly somebody had to do something wrong. Okay? But ain't nobody actually giving the whole story. Did you do something wrong? No. Did you do something wrong? No. But y'all both lumped up. So what happened there? And that's what we were given when we went to school. We just got lumped up and confused. And we thought that our side of the story was right because it's what was given to us. But it wasn't even right to begin with. But we didn't know, you see. So this is why it's so important for you to have a desire to want to know and want to connect with your truth, because your truth is life. Your lineage, the way of your people, that's life. Anything other than that, anything other than your divine alignment, when you align with your history and with the true nature of your culture, your cultural traditions or ways or rituals or whatever you want to call it, you're aligning yourself with life, because in that state of being is the most healthy state for you to live a long life. And not just long, but actually enjoyable, like a happy life. Okay, so that's all I have for you. That's like a download that came to me, and I just decoded it right now in real time in front of your face. So let me know how you feel about it. Drop it down in the comments below. Excuse my congestion because I have allergies, unfortunately. But anyway, if you would like to purchase anything from me, you can. Look at the pinned comments below. I'll leave the information there as well as in the description box below. And everything you do, do it with love. I'll see you in the next video.